All right, so Dominic, this is the last section of your toolkit for Chapter 4. So this is kind of the last thing that we kind of talked about within the things within the exam. So we cut Chapter 4 a little bit short just because of time-wise. We wanted to assess right before the first semester just so you guys could have another kind of grade boost that could kind of jump up. And that way we didn't have so much content to cover for the second semester, okay? So this last one is, I think, pretty much the easiest standard within those problems. So you'll see this on your Chapter 4 test in the exam as well, but it's not going to show up much later on. So as you can remember, hopefully you do, in terms of referencing for Chapter 1, what you'll see is we've actually done these problems before within solving for a specific variable. In this case, we have that 3x minus 4y is equal to 10. So it's asking us just to solve for that y value there. All right, so the y value, it's pretty straightforward, all right? So in this case, when we're solving for y, we're going to subtract 3x on both sides, okay? Make sure, again, that you don't combine like terms with that 10 and negative 3. Again, they don't have the same values, so therefore you can leave them alone. In this case, I have that negative 4y is equal to 10 minus 3x, okay? My apologies for the disruptions. I have the wrestling team outside doing warm-ups right now. So in this case, what you're going to do is you're going to divide by negative 4 on both sides in order to solve for y. So I divide by negative 4, and again, I'm going to do this for each term here, okay? So in this case, what you're going to realize is we can't really simplify that much outside of that y value. And again, you can rewrite it as a decimal if you would like, or you can just leave it as a fraction. So negative 3x divided by negative 4. The only simplifying we can do there is just that 3 over 4, making it a positive value with that x. And then we have that 10 over 4. We can just leave it as negative 10 over 4. All right, so pretty straightforward. Again, if you want to simplify into decimals, you can. But again, I think it's easier just to leave it as a fraction. There's a lot of things to play around with there. So number 2, you have 4y squared minus 2x is equal to 7. So in this case, what you're going to have to do is, again, solve for y. Get it easy, make it easy for yourself, okay? You have a squared term here, so don't try to square root everything right away. Again, it's try to get everything to one side before you take that square. So in this case, I have that negative 2x. I'm going to add 2x to both sides, so again, I have that square on one side. I have 4y squared is equal to 7 plus positive 2x. All right? And then, as you can see, I have that 4, so I need to divide by 4 in order to get that y squared alone. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide the whole thing by 4. Again, if you want to leave it in separate terms like we did the last one, you can. All right? You're going to see why it's going to be more simple, though, to leave it as one fraction. So we have y squared is equal to 7 plus 2x over 4. Excuse me. So then we have that 7 plus 2x over 4 is equal to y squared. Now, that y squared, what we can do is we can actually take the square root of that entire thing. So we can just simplify for y. So now I have y is equal to the square root of everything on the right side. So in this case, don't forget that plus or minus. You have square root over 7 plus 2x all over the quantity of 4, okay? And as you can see, this is the simplest form we can have it, okay? So don't try to do anything special with it, all right? The more you try to simplify, the more ugly it gets usually. So again, just try to leave it just like that, okay? All right, number 3. Number 3, if we're looking at it, we have 4 multiplied with y plus 5, and then plus x is equal to negative 8, okay? You'll be tempted to distribute here. Don't do it, okay? The reason why is because we need to keep that equation intact, okay? We're just solving for that y value there. So in this case, what I'm going to tell you is you're going to subtract x on both sides. All right, now you subtract x on both sides. You have 4 multiplied with y plus 5 is equal to negative x minus 8. Again, don't combine those like terms. I'm sorry, they're not like terms, so please don't combine them. Now, you're going to have this thing here. Again, don't distribute. All right, that whole thing's being multiplied. So again, you can just divide the whole thing by 4. When I divide that whole thing by 4, I'm also going to divide this whole other thing on the right side by 4. All right, now becomes just a regular problem of y plus 5 is equal to negative x minus 8 all over 4. Leave it as one fraction, okay? Because otherwise, if you try to combine this, remember, this whole thing is being divided by 4, okay? If you try to simplify this fraction and then add 5 to it, you got to make sure that you add 5 to that x as well, okay? So therefore, just leave it like this, all right? The last thing what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 5, okay? And the reason why, again, we're going to subtract 5 on that outside is because we can't combine those like terms. Again, this is one fraction, all right? If we tried to simplify it, so in this case, we have negative x minus 8 over 4, and then we just have that minus 5 on the outside. Oops, my apologies. So now it just becomes a simplified version of that y, okay? Right, again, this is probably the toughest problem you're going to see, right? Please make sure that you don't distribute and make sure that you keep that as one fraction as well, okay? The last thing now, number 4, is you have that square root of y minus 3 is equal to x plus 2, all right? Since the square root is already by itself, all you got to do is square the whole thing. So you square both sides there. Anything you do to the left, you do to the right. So square root of y minus 3, obviously you just have that y minus 3. That's equal to the square root of x, or x plus 2 squared. Now, all right, you can be tempted to simplify this all the way down. I had a few people do that on the assessment. That's fine. But to make matters easier, all you got to do is just leave it with that x plus 2. Because again, we're just solving for y here. That's all we're doing. So when we solve for y, just add 3 to both sides. Again, make sure that you don't combine with inside because, again, that's against your rules. So now you just have y is equal to x plus 2, quantity squared, plus 3. And that is it. All right. So, again, solving for y. Again, Chapter 1 has those examples. Again, solving for a specific variable. Hopefully you find this pretty easy. Again, the steps are very similar to what we saw for algebra, okay? All right, again, this is the last one for Chapter 4. Hopefully, again, you can get those assessments to me soon, and hopefully we'll be able to get you all caught up, okay? Look for the Chapter 5 videos soon. We'll be covering those, hopefully, in the near future. That way we can be ready to go for that, okay? Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll see you soon.